Hey YouTube world, we are back once again. Please remember to download, subscribe, listen, all the good stuff. I haven't really known what to do for the last couple days because of all the hullabaloo that's going on. We see the world kind of going into a state of shock, a state of confusion, a general awe with everything that's gone on so far over the last couple days or so, as we've now reached territory that's unprecedented in human history, nonetheless in sports history, where, we see the MLB, the NHL, NBA, March Madness close up shop, but also schools shut down, government agencies shut down, national emergencies. We find it a fascinating situation that we have ourselves in here, and I think that now that we have a face to put to it, and America has a rallying cry, that this is kind of broken out into a full-scale pandemic. And, a lot of what we said before was not accurate to what we've seen a couple days later. And it's a fascinating position that we find ourselves in, because it frustrates the hell out of me. But at this point, it seems like everyone is falling into this category at this point. So in a fascinating turn of events, we find ourselves kind of stuck, not just in like creating YouTube content, which is also what I do just because I don't know what else to do in this situation, but to just talk into a microphone and see what people think, or at least continue to build up the empire until we inevitably can put ourselves in a position where people actually care about the content that we're putting out right now, not just the occasional 10 views that come in. To the 10 people who listen consistently, I really appreciate you coming back all the times that you do, and I hope you come back during the middle of all this pandemonium that currently exists. We find ourselves, we have a rallying cry now. I think once this went mainstream, people recognize just how crazy the situation is and just how unprecedented we find ourselves right now, in a situation where no one has the answers, and people are looking to superiors for answers, and they aren't really finding anything, and there's just constant confusion, and people don't know what to do except just go about their lives, and it puts everyone in a strange position as the wind threatens to knock the camera down as we still stay standing. It's a fascinating position that we find ourselves in because of everything that's digressed up to this point, and how we as a group have sort of sidestepped the harsh reality in order to put ourselves in a position in which we could continue, watching sports, going to school, having things like this, and now all of a sudden, this is an epidemic, a pandemic, but in America, a situation that its only precedent really is the flu outbreak in the 1920s, and even then there weren't really sports. Major wars shutting down America. There's not a lot of precedent among people that are alive and people who are going through this and kind of leading the charge through this. There's not a lot of precedent for what we're seeing at this point. And it's a really weird dynamic that we find ourselves in, because no one has answers to give us, therefore we have to figure it out ourselves. And I think for the last 2 days we were just kind of stuck in the rut a little bit, trying to find our way through everything. And now, as we start to find normalcy once again, for some people, at least some people are finding normalcy in the whole situation. As that starts to progress again, we find that we can grow from this situation. As we start to get back on track, in Saturday and Sunday specifically, we will start to grow from this situation and try and figure out what is the next course of action, as there's uncertainty, as we don't know exactly what life is going to look like, as everyone from colleges to jobs to schools to government workers to private businesses that are shut down, they don't know what the future looks like. And that's the scarier part than any virus that is mostly impacting old people but is spreading at a rapid rate. It is the uncertainty of everything else, and that's what's causing schools to get shut down. That's what's causing universities to get shut down. That's what's causing sports leagues to get shut down. That's what's causing panic and outrage on social media, especially among young people. is the fact that there's just so much uncertainty, and people don't fare well when it's uncertainty. You start to see the real character of people in situations like this. I said the same thing when the Kobe Bryant situation happened, and obviously this impacts even broader reach than Kobe Bryant. I don't even know how that was possible at this point, because it's one of those few situations where the world stands still for a few days, but now we're looking at the world standing still for weeks, months, potential like chaos breaking out, especially at grocery stores where there's not a lot of food left. Legitimate concern on the faces of the people who are living through this situation right now. Like the people are looking for answers, and it's like, I don't know exactly what you're looking for. So I think the part that we all control at this point is your attitude towards it. Obviously, there are no distractions. I don't think there are any distractions left to keep your mind away from all the craziness that exists right now. There are no distractions left. You find yourself in a position where you got to put up or shut up at this point, and grow from this experience. Like I said earlier, everyone's going to grow a little bit from this, and if they don't, they're truly hopeless, because you're not going to see a situation like this for a couple generations, if that. When we're talking about a global pandemic that people don't have the answer to, total uncertainty across the country, 9/11 was the closest thing we had to this before, and even then, I think now, while there is general uncertainty, we'll find out just how this stacks up, because we're looking at impacting communities all across the world. Instead of a fear that this could happen somewhere where you are, like we literally see it impacting certain places, and they're like spread out everywhere. So people are going to have to grow from this, and if they're not, they are truly hopeless. Or people are going to spiral farther, and that's an even scarier proposition as their world kind of caves in around them, and there's like this uncertainty where they have to make a decision. At which point, the only thing I can give to people in that situation is I understand that it's scary, and I understand that you don't know what the future holds for you, but ultimately, your true character comes out in a situation in which there is no precedent, no preparation. Your true character comes out. You can either lie down, or you can pick yourself up and start working again, like I've tried to start doing today. Just because for the last 2 days I haven't really known what to do. I've kind of been stuck in place, just waiting to see what would happen with the university, what would happen with people who were coming from out of state and then putting themselves in a position in which they came back to campus, potentially brought it to campus. Would they be allowed back on campus? Where would I be living in the next couple of weeks? What am I going to do in terms of like working? What am I going to do in terms of trying to forward the podcast? See, is there an opportunity for growth here? How am I going to find said opportunity for growth? Do we have a just cause that we're pushing for? And how much of this is in my control and how much of it is out of my control? And of the stuff that I'm seeing, a situation in which more stuff is out of my control than it's ever been in my entire life. So then the point becomes, if stuff is constantly changing hour by hour, and as I constantly seek more information, I become more distorted from reality, because the more we know, the further distorted we become from the realities that are actually existent. And as you start to think, should you go to a grocery store? Should you save your money? Should you be bringing in other utilities? Should you be worried, or should you just be going about your business? Can you go about your business? Is it the best case to go about your business? And again, the things that are out of your control dictate certain things like that. But the solution is everyone has to make their own decision for themselves at this point of what are the circumstances I'm presented with, what am I going to do about it, and how am I going to go about my life? And for me, I've got now like 2 to 3 weeks uncertainty, no responsibilities at this point, because all the organizations are shutting down. Even my school is shutting down. I have one test to take, and after that, we're moving on to other things. You don't know what it's going to look like, and you have to wait to make such a decision. And instead of making a rash decision, you have 2 to 3 weeks. Plan out what you want your life to look like from this point going forward. That's the mindset I'm looking at right now, is how do I want to reset everything back into motion? Because I took kind of 2 days to just kind of flop around a little bit and then put myself back in a position where, yeah, I'm a little bit lost right now, but ultimately I still know the path that I'm putting myself on and trying to stay in a connected position. So as difficult as it seems, we find ourselves kind of trekking onward in that sense. That's the most important thing, especially for people as they progress into the coming days, the coming weeks, where kids maybe aren't going to be at school. You might not be getting a paycheck. Focus on the things you can control, and then what am I going to do to make the best of a situation, and how does this affect X, Y, and Z as we go forward and as we push ourselves to be in a position in which we can thrive, we can prosper, we can put ourselves in the best position possible to go about our lives, to find a new normal, to be a better person than we were before, and to grow. So instead of talking about everything, let's just focus on 3 things. Personal growth, overcoming uncertainty, and creating a new normal. I would focus on those 3 things if I were in the position of anyone at this point, and I guess I am an anyone, so I'm going to push forward in that same sense. And I guess not knowing what to do, sometimes you just come record a YouTube video and then put it out there. So we shall see what becomes of the next few days. We'll constantly be in contact. You can download episodes if you want to listen to. If you want to create a semblance of normalcy, or maybe start a new routine that maybe involves me and involves the content that we constantly put out, because there will be a lot of content. Trust me, just because sports slow down, there's going to be a lot of content coming out. This is where the real Kyle comes into fruition and starts putting forward a path that maybe he's not an expert on, but he's definitely more equipped to handle this than the people who he's surrounded by, at least. I don't know if this will help anyone in the who's listening, and if anyone has any other way of going about it, just comment below. We can start a conversation. We can do anything at this point, just because we are anybody who has to go about the path of uncertainty and does whatever I was trying to think of a way to incorporate any means necessary to forward their common ideology, their common path at this point. It's the way you trek forward is find a new normal, control what you can control, I think was the other thing, and I forgot the other thing. Crap. Well, enjoy yourself, YouTube world. Until next time.